You're watching Left, Right and Centre. So many have been outraged across India at a video of a 14-year-old Muslim boy being mercilessly thrashed by a so-called Mandir Sevak for entering a temple in Dasna, not too far from Delhi, to drink water. Now, we revisit this story this evening to ask a basic question. Is it a crime for anyone to drink water at a place of worship, or has hate and anger so overcome some that a basic sense of humanity was falling or has fallen by the wayside? Joining us to look at this, Harsh Mandar, Rahul Ishwar, Geeta Bhatt also with us this evening. Zainab Sikandar joins us, as does Sunil Bharala. Mr. Bharala will join us in just a few moments from now. I think, Harsh Mandar, let's first look at it from the perspective of a child being assaulted in this brutal manner. The fact that you've got a sick mind who not only assaults this child, right, but actually has somebody taking a video which is then posted on Instagram. What does that actually show?
There are many things, Vishnu. This is not a one-off incident. It's not an aberration. It's not an exception. We've seen, this continuous legitimization of hatred and bigotry. Even from the highest levels, hate speech has got routinized. There's been the epidemic of lynching, the celebration of those perpetrating hate crimes as heroes. But what you said just now, I think that the idea that I can love my religion only by hating people of another religion, I can love my country only by hating people of another country. The idea that if you're truly devout as Mahatma Gandhi was, his devotion to his own religion taught him a tradition of very high respect for people of other religions. And we have a very mixed civilizational tradition. We have the caste and the inequality and the hate and the violence and the atrocities, but we also have wonderful traditions like offering water to the thirsty, which is considered an act of very high merit. I think that young people today will have to decide what are their role models, what kind of India, what kind of religious atmosphere, what kind of cultural atmosphere do we want to leave to our children. And I do believe that this idea that I can only truly love my religion, my family, my country only by showing respect to all others, most of all children.
Rahul Ishwar joins us as well. Rahul, is this not utterly condemnable? A 14-year-old child bashed up for drinking water inside a temple?
Yes, Vishnu, this is unfortunate. I don't think anybody in their right mind will ever justify this. That's a very unfortunate incident. We all come from a tradition, especially in Sabrimala, where we go to a mosque, offering our respect to our Swami before coming to Sabrimala. Having said that, this definitely, not right. But there are some sentiments, especially regarding with our conservative sections of society, saying that, people who only believes in a particular deity or only believes in a particular space should actually be more prone to it. That doesn't mean this is a justification. That only means there are some sections who have that kind of sensitivity. So, there is another side.
Another side. There is another side. I fail to understand what side you're talking about, Rahul.
No. See, nobody can ever justify violence. But at the same point of time, there are some conservative sections of society who are not very welcoming to other community members inside the temple. For example, take the same Christian singer Yeshudas, who is a legendary singer, but Yeshudas is still not allowed in Guruvayur. See, there has been debates surrounding it, and we have all participated in those debates. But there are some sections of society who are not welcoming to non-idol worshipping people and that specific deity worshipping people in particular temple premises.
Zainab, does that argument at all make sense to you? Because there are those, and if you look at the way it's played out on social media, it's like, why should that child be allowed? He's of a different faith. There is a sign outside. And then there are others who are saying that there are mosques where Hindus or people of different faiths are not allowed. And therefore, that is what this debate has become. Hindus not allowed here, Muslims not allowed there. But the story of this child bashed up why he wanted water seems to have been mistaken. I mean, what does it say about us?
Okay, so of course, the immediate image that's brought up is Saudi Arabia. In certain sections of Saudi, non-Muslims are not allowed. Then in certain places in Malaysia, in temples, it's clearly written Muslims are not allowed or stuff like that. But this is India. In India, we have an Ajmer Sharif where Ekta Kapoor just went, to pray for her new show. We have so many temples. I have personally myself visited Katra. I've gone to Vaishno Devi. I've gone to so many temples. In a country like India, when you start giving examples of Saudi Arabia or other countries and say that, it's not possible, that there is intermixing of religion and there is astha, then there is a problem, because we've never had that problem before. It's only now that this problem is coming. And, congratulations to Ghaziabad police that they have arrested the perpetrators. But the problem is the butterfly effect from the day Jayant Sinha garlanded those lynching accused. That was the day when people thought that it has become a trend to become politically relevant when you sort of side with such, fanatics. It became a trend in India. And from then on, every time there was a video that was made and every time it went viral, and there was a lot of it was a plethora of reactions. You can't just say that it was only condemned. There were people who were even cheering it on. So why has this become, first it was beef, then it was Jai Shri Ram, now it's water. The problem is that the ideology of hate and violence is accepted and normalized. Putting up a video doesn't send a shiver down someone's spine. Oh my God, I will be arrested by the police. So what we have to see is the malaise which has come into people's minds, that we have to even discuss that, okay, ye hamari aastha hai, aap andar nahi aa sakte. Pani peene ke liye, for water, are you really justifying that something as simple as, quenching one's thirst is problematic because a god of one religion will get offended with that? I think that's just such a sad way of showing one's religion. And even if a Muslim is endorsing that a non-Muslim can't come, I would not agree with it. And don't give me examples of Saudi Arabia. I don't live in Saudi Arabia. I live in India. Our country is still secular. So I think we should try and safeguard that as much as we can and not give justification for it. A 14-year-old boy was beaten because he was thirsty and he went inside a mandir to drink water. Really, sorry, Asif, that this happened to you.
Geeta, one of the key points, Geeta ji, is that the manner in which Facebook videos have apparently been put up, that Instagram post was actually put up, the contents of some of these Facebook posts. Now, it's been reported in the Quint. I tried to access these sites. They've all been pulled down by Facebook or by Instagram as well. But apparently they talk about a lot of hateful things. The need for population control for Muslims, pictures apparently of people holding knives, guns and other weapons, all associated with the chief priest of this particular temple. Is this not a serious problem at one level with this particular Dasna temple?
Well, Vishnuji, as far as trying to hit, someone who's underage or anyone, in fact, and also trying to take law in their hands, anyone who's trying to do that, that is something which is condemnable, and the police should swiftly come into action and do what is the needful. However, in this particular case, I wish to also put forward one or two points over here. One is that, while this could have been, this is definitely a case where, a child has been beaten and thrashed, and definitely there is a concern about it. But what is being observed is that there is a communal color which is being given to it, and what has been portrayed is that, he entered the temple to have water. But the fact is that if one looks at the temple or that ashram's gate itself has got a pyao, right? The pyao where we all know pyao is basically for providing water to the thirsty, because that is considered
Geeta
to be
ji, how does
hygiene.
it matter if he chose to have water outside or inside?
No, that is the point. Then if there is also a hand pump just outside that gate.
No, but how does it matter where he went to have water?
Yes,
this is a 14-year-old child. In a 14-year-old child, he chose to enter a mandir. A mandir is an open mandir. Everybody goes to mandirs.
Vishnuji, You see, what I'm trying to say is that there are a large number of mosques in this country, but between Shias and Sunnis, how many of them they actually go to the mosque? There are separate mosques which are identified, and Shias they don't go to a Sunni mosque and vice versa. This is something which
That's
we know,
voluntarily, but nobody stops them.
But nobody goes and hits people, no.
Can I please? No, the point is
But
that
it's a
then what is
fact,
the
ma'am.
reality? If you have, because also just a few days back in Kalburgi district in Karnataka, a 14-year-old school boy has been brutally killed because he was supposedly had some interest in a girl who was from Muslim community. He was brutally killed, and his body was found in the river floating over there.
Yes.
But somehow no one decided to do a story on that. That is beside the point. But there are so many such issues which are there.
No, ma'am, this is not about. It's not about this story being covered or that story not being covered. It's about how all attacks, irrespective of faith, are horrific. We cannot sit here and say, why did somebody cover this and why did somebody not cover that? If it's not been covered, it's terrible. But all of this violence is awful, ma'am.
Let us raise the issue in this manner. That is what I am trying to say.
But Geeta ji, then that way, when even Ankit was killed, Ankit was also killed for having a Muslim lover, Muslim female lover. At that time, it was us Muslims who organized an iftar party for the parents of Ankit, and there was a huge. There were Muslims going and apologizing for this. It was an honor killing. Honor killing happens even between Hindus. So don't make it seem like that there is only discussion when the victim is a Muslim. This is a wrong narrative, ma'am. You know the Ankit case had happened and there was extensive coverage of it, and Muslims were the ones who went and apologized. There were Muslims hugging their father.
All right, both of you, one moment. We can't hear both of you. I want to go back to Harshmandir for a moment.
Some sense.
Harshmandir, this Instagram account, which was taken down, apparently belonged to a Hindu Ekta Sangh. That's how this group identified themselves. And the message over there, and it's a lot more vehement in Hindi. Basically, a Muslim man has been neutered is what the message was, and it refers to the genitals of this child being attacked by this brute of a man who assaulted this child. Again, it's depraved. It's the most vicious form of attack on not just a child but on another religion. I don't know, it's insane.
Vishnu, I really wish, for instance, on this panel, at least on this one issue, I wish everybody just condemned it and there were no ifs, buts. However, we just have to be unequivocal. This is unacceptable. But I think that, it's not something that has suddenly happened. In our Karwan-e-Mohabbat, we decided that we would visit every family which has suffered from hate violence. We made some 30 journeys. And what has struck me was precisely what you're describing, where instead of remorse, there's a sense of pride, of masculine pride. You are filming yourself committing crimes for which you can even go to the gallows, and you're putting your face out there because you're sure that you are far from being punished. You are going to be treated as a hero. Ministers will garland you. You will get election tickets, etc. And that you are a hero for the people of your religion. I think we've come such a long way from understanding that a true hero. I mean, Mahatma Gandhi would never have gone to the Ram temple. His last battle, his last fast, was precisely on this ground that you cannot treat, uphold your own religious faith by treating with disrespect places of worship or people of another faith. And I think that this idea, and it's not very, very remote. I mean, when I go to the farmers' protests, the idea of the langar, the idea of Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, all offering food, eating together, drinking water together, while protesting, showing love and solidarity. These are also part of our traditions. This is what we need to get back, and we have to, above all, get back kindness.
Rahul, one of the points which came up in the course of the discussion is, why did this child actually go in? Why did he not have water outside? to me, it doesn't matter where he went. He just went inside because he wanted to go inside. But it also turns out that this child was illiterate. There are so many in our country who are illiterate. People who wouldn't have read that sign very prominently out, which has been placed prominently outside. Not that that should be a consideration. But the fact is, here is an illiterate person who happens to be a child who goes inside a temple, which is a place of worship and supposedly a place of peace, for a glass of water or whatever, right? And he gets bashed up like this. It's insane. And we would have, and we are over here having a conversation, oh, but you know, members of this faith have done this, members of that faith have done this, that has been covered and this has not been covered. As Harsh Mandar says, why can't we just condemn all of this?
I believe that, and I believe every right Indian, whether they are Hindu, Muslim, atheist, Christian, will definitely do that. But two submissions. One, there is a deeper problem happening. Unless we address it, we are never going to solve it. Let me be very honest about it. See, the whole core of Islamophobia in Hindu community is the fear of population replacement. As a Hindu activist, I concede it is an exaggerated fear. It is not going to happen. But this is a core fear that Muslim population is going to overtake. Let us address that. This is the same fear that is happening in the US, saying that the Jew will not replace us. So there is a illegitimate fear that is there in Hindu mindset. Unless we address and solve it, this will manifest in either halal jihad or saying that there is a gaswa which is going to happen, or saying that there is a love jihad that is happening every now and then. So there is a deeper spiritual vacuum and a deeper sense of fear that is in Hindu community, especially the forward caste Hindu community that's happening. So this will manifest, this deep down fear will manifest in many ways. And Harshamandarji will agree with me, I believe, when Mahatma Gandhi says, you think hate is the problem. No, fear is the problem. There is a core fear. Unless we resolve that, we won't be able to build Hindu-Muslim unity or Hindu-Muslim brotherhood. These are simple...
Yeah, but the vacuum that's being created right now as far as information between communities and spreading hate and false information which propagates differences, that is only increasing, that chasm is only increasing. That gap between communities is only growing, right?
Yes,
that sense of fear is only being said to be re-established when people go on Instagram and post pictures of 14-year-old children being bashed.
That's true.
So then what, what are we doing, or what is anybody doing to try and
We need to have a mechanism where we solve it. And if I can just take one line, just take our own agitation in Sabarimala. The entire Muslim community stood with us. And, you know, we could make a great example of people coming together from every region and fighting for a similar cause to protect the Article 25. So
okay, Zainab has...
Yeah, because there is a deeper issue.
All right. Okay, I'm running short on time over here. Zainab had a point to make. Zainab, go ahead. Yes.
No, before this, you know, the whole idea of, you know, we have to remove the fear. How does one remove the fear? First of all, the law has to take its own course. Luckily, in this case, it has. But in many cases, it hasn't, which is why there is this sort of, you know, in fact, such people feel that they're above the law because by the end of it, bail mil jayegi and we'll be recognized politically. That is a huge problem, that such videos and people in such videos think that this is an incentive. Doing something like this will get us attention. And like Vishnu, you had said previously also, the person who is the Mahant of this temple is anyway, you know, in fact, if you read Uttar Pradesh police, they have called him a nuisance. So he is anyway in many cases, as far as I know, he's in 6 cases allegedly for rioting, for making inflammatory speeches. He's already booked for them. And yet there's no action, which is why, you know, the fear is actually not the fear. It's a sense of superiority complex. That I can get away with beating people. I can take law in my own, I can take law in my own hand. I can set this person right. I will teach this person a lesson. That is a superiority complex. And it is for us as a nation to recognize this problem is coming up. We can't keep saying that you guys also did the same thing. Your community did the same thing. So what if our community? Because that's the point Geeta ji was making. And that's not fair. Because like I said, Ankit was one example where there was
Geeta ji, I'll come to you in a second.
No, I just want to, you see, there are these, there are, if you talk in terms of that, you know, there are some kind of, tensions there could be some, situational problems where there could be tensions within the community, like in Banaras, in Doshipura. I mean, that is one case where between Shia and Sunnis there is a rift regarding a piece of land which was given by the king of Banaras in 19th century. And that case went on in 1984.
But ma'am, people are not getting beaten up for it. There are no viral videos for it. please recognize that also. There are no beatings, there is no violence, there might be a rift.
I think it's really sad that this has to be again a discussion on Hindus versus Muslims, right? When we are trying to condemn an attack, that the examples which are being raised is the other faith has done this. What goes around comes around. These discussions never seem to end. It is really shocking that that poor child had to be assaulted in that manner. I'd like to thank you all very much for being with us. It's time for us to take this short break.